The morning sun fell through the tall windows of the palace like golden ribbons, but inside the marble hallways, everything felt cold and heavy. Colonel Marcus had been the head royal guard for 15 years, and in all those years, he had learned one simple truth: not everything that happens inside palace walls should be seen by the world. Today was one of those days. Marcus stood at his post outside the Crown Prince's private chambers, his uniform perfectly pressed, his jaw set firm. His dark eyes watched the corridor, noticing every small movement, every shadow. This was his job, to see everything, but say nothing, to protect but never tell. The sound of raised voices came from inside the chamber, though the thick doors were closed. Marcus did not move. He did not look up. He had trained his ears for many years to ignore what he was not meant to hear, yet understand what every word meant. Princess Eleanor's voice was sharp, like breaking glass. "This cannot continue, Mother. I will not stay silent anymore." Then came the voice of Queen Victoria, calm but cold. "You will stay silent because you are a princess. Your feelings do not matter. Our family's image matters." Marcus felt something heavy in his chest. He had served this family since he was a young man of 25. He had watched Prince Edward grow up. He had seen Princess Eleanor born in the summer rain. He knew their secrets, like he knew the pathways of the palace. And he knew that some secrets could hurt people deeply. The door opened suddenly. Princess Eleanor stepped out, her beautiful face red with tears and anger. She was wearing a simple blue dress, but her eyes held a storm. When she saw Marcus, she stopped for just a moment. Their eyes met. In that second, Marcus saw everything: her pain, her loneliness, her feeling of being trapped like a bird in a golden cage. "Your Highness," Marcus said softly, bowing slightly as was proper. Eleanor did not speak. She walked quickly down the corridor, her footsteps echoing in the silent hallway like a heartbeat of sadness. Marcus stood alone again. Queen Victoria appeared in the doorway, dressed in black silk, her gray hair perfect, her face like carved stone. She looked at Marcus with the eyes of a woman who carried the weight of a whole kingdom. "Colonel," she said quietly, "today, like every other day, you have heard nothing. You have seen nothing. You will say nothing." "Yes, Your Majesty," Marcus replied, his voice steady and strong. This was the unspoken agreement between them, a promise made years ago when Marcus first took his position. In the palace, there was the truth that the world knew, and then there was the real truth. Marcus lived in the space between these two truths. Queen Victoria nodded slowly. "Princess Eleanor has received an offer to join the Royal Academy in a distant country. It is a great honor. She will leave in 3 months." Marcus understood what this meant. It was not really an honor. It was an escape for someone who had done something wrong or known something dangerous. It was the way royal families solved problems that could not be solved any other way. "A very good opportunity, Your Majesty," Marcus said carefully. The Queen's expression did not change. "She will be very far away. She will meet new people, a new life perhaps. This is what is best for her." After the Queen walked away, Marcus returned to his silent watch. The palace corridor seemed even quieter now, as if the stones themselves were holding their breath. That evening, Marcus walked through the palace gardens. The roses were in full bloom, and their sweet smell filled the air. But Marcus could not enjoy their beauty today. His mind was thinking of many things. He had seen the princess grow from a small child, who laughed easily, into a young woman who smiled less with each passing year. He had watched her become more careful, more controlled, more hidden. He had noticed how she flinched when certain people came near. He had seen fear in her eyes during royal dinners. And he had said nothing. This was his job. This was what it meant to be a palace guard. To protect the family meant sometimes to protect their secrets. To be loyal meant sometimes to be silent about things that should not be silent. But tonight, walking among the roses, Marcus wondered if silence was the same thing as protection. He wondered if hiding the truth was the same as keeping someone safe. He thought about Princess Eleanor's face when she came out of the chamber, the pain so deep that no amount of royal training could hide it completely. Marcus sat on a stone bench near the fountain. The water made soft sounds as it fell into the pool below. In the distance, he could hear music from the palace, a piano, someone playing a sad and lonely song. He knew it was Eleanor. She often played the piano when she was sad, choosing only the songs that matched her heart. Marcus closed his eyes and listened to the music. He thought about duty and loyalty, about right and wrong. He thought about what it meant to protect someone when what they really needed was to be heard. The music continued into the night, each note falling like a tear from a heart that had learned to hide its tears. And Colonel Marcus remained silent, as he always did. But something inside him, something small and quiet, had begun to change.
3 days passed since the argument between the Queen and Princess Eleanor. 3 days of watching the princess move through the palace like a ghost, present in body, but absent in spirit. Marcus noticed that she ate very little. She smiled at no one. She spent long hours in the library, reading books about faraway countries. On the 4th day, something changed. Marcus was doing his morning patrol of the East Wing when he heard a small voice call his name. He turned to see young Prince Louis, the Queen's youngest son, standing in the corridor. The boy was only 7 years old, with soft brown hair and eyes that still held the light of childhood, something that had not yet been taken away by duty and protocol. "Colonel Marcus," the boy said softly, "can I talk to you?" Marcus knelt down to the boy's level. In all his years of service, he had learned that children often saw things that adults missed. Their eyes had not yet learned to look away from truth. "Of course, Your Highness. What troubles you?" Prince Louis looked around to make sure no one was watching. Then he whispered, "I heard Sister Eleanor cry in her room last night. She was crying very much. Colonel, I wanted to help her, but Mother said I should not go in. She said Sister Eleanor needs to be alone. But that is not true, is it, Colonel? When people are sad, they do not want to be alone." Marcus felt something break open inside his chest. The boy was speaking a simple truth that all the adults in the palace had forgotten. "You are right, Your Highness," Marcus said quietly. "When people are sad, they do need someone. You have a kind heart." "Will Sister Eleanor be okay?" the boy asked, his small face full of worry. This was the question Marcus could not answer truthfully. He did not know if Eleanor would be okay. He only knew that she was being sent away in 2 months and 11 days. He only knew that she was hiding something or running from something. He only knew that the palace was not a safe place for her heart. "She will be strong," Marcus said finally. "Your sister is very strong." That afternoon, Marcus received an unexpected message. He was asked to come to the library at sunset. The message had no name, but Marcus knew who had sent it. He recognized the handwriting, neat and careful, but with small marks of pressure that showed anger beneath. When he arrived at the library, the room was empty except for one person. Princess Eleanor stood near the tall windows, watching the sun fall down the sky like a dying fire. She wore a simple green dress, and her dark hair hung loose around her shoulders. "Your Highness," Marcus said, bowing formally. "Please do not bow," Eleanor said without turning around. "Not today. Not here." Marcus stood straight, unsure what to do. Eleanor turned to face him, and her eyes were red from crying, but also bright with something else, determination perhaps, or desperation. "I know you know things, Colonel Marcus," she said. "I know that you hear many things in this palace. I know that you see many things. And I know that you never speak about what you see or hear." Marcus said nothing. He waited. "I need your help," Eleanor continued, walking closer to him. "Not as your princess, as a person, as someone who is drowning and needs someone to throw her a rope." "Your Highness, I cannot," Marcus began, but Eleanor interrupted him. "You can," she said fiercely. "You are the only one who can, the only one I can trust." Eleanor walked to the table and pulled out a letter. Her hands shook as she held it. "This letter came 3 days ago. she said. "It is from Lord Pembroke. He wants me to marry him. It is being arranged without my agreement. I do not want to marry him, Colonel. I know him. He is not a good man." Marcus felt cold run through his body. This was a serious matter. A royal marriage was not a simple thing. It had rules and laws and agreements that went back for centuries. "The Queen has approved this?" Marcus asked carefully. "Yes," Eleanor whispered. "Mother thinks it is a good match, a good alliance. She does not care what I think. She does not care that he frightens me. She does not care that he has done things, bad things, that no one speaks about because he is powerful and rich." Marcus understood now. The academy in the distant country was not the real plan. It was a cover story. The real plan was to marry the princess to someone who would control her, silence her, keep her hidden away in his own palace. "Your Highness, I am just a guard," Marcus said slowly. "I cannot help you with such things. These are decisions above my rank." Eleanor's eyes filled with fresh tears. I know you cannot officially help, but I need to know, do you believe me? Do you believe that I am telling you the truth?" Marcus looked at this young woman who had grown up in his watch. He thought about the piano music at night. He thought about the fear in her eyes. He thought about Prince Louis asking if his sister would be okay. He thought about his oath to protect the royal family. And then he understood something important. Protecting the family did not always mean protecting the people who held power. Sometimes it meant protecting the people who had no power. Sometimes loyalty meant doing the right thing, even when it was dangerous. "Yes, Your Highness," Marcus said quietly. "I believe you." Eleanor closed her eyes as tears fell down her cheeks. That is all I needed to hear. That is all I needed for someone to believe me, for someone to see the truth. "What will you do?" Marcus asked. "I do not know," Eleanor admitted. "But now that someone knows, now that someone believes, I am no longer completely alone. And perhaps that is enough to begin with." Marcus stood in the library as the sun fell completely below the horizon, and he realized that his world had changed. He had made a choice. He had chosen to see instead of look away. He had chosen to believe instead to stay silent. And he knew that this choice would change everything. 3 weeks had passed since that evening in the library. 3 weeks of Marcus living a double life. By day, he was a perfect guard, silent, watchful, loyal to the Queen and King. By night, he was something else. A confidant, a believer, a man caught between two loyalties that could never be the same. Eleanor had found ways to speak with him briefly. A whispered word in a corridor, a note hidden under a flower pot in the garden. Small moments where she could share the weight she carried. Marcus listened. He believed, but he did nothing, and that was eating him alive. Today, Marcus sat in his small room in the guard quarters, staring at a letter he had received that morning. The letter was from his sister, who lived in the city far away from the palace. She wrote about simple things, her children, her garden, her life. But one sentence burned in his mind. How can you serve a place that does not serve justice? She did not know about Eleanor. She did not know about the arranged marriage or the fear. But somehow, she knew that something was wrong. Marcus put his head in his hands. He had always believed that loyalty meant silence, that protecting the royal family meant keeping their secrets safe, no matter what those secrets were. But now he wondered if that was protection or if it was something else, something darker. There was a quiet knock on his door. Marcus opened it to find Eleanor standing there, dressed in dark clothes, her face pale with fear and worry. "Your Highness, you cannot be here," Marcus said immediately, looking down the corridor to make sure no one had seen her. "I know," Eleanor whispered, slipping inside the room. "But I had no choice. I am running out of time, Colonel. The wedding is being planned for next month. Next month. Everything is moving so fast. Mother has already sent invitations to other kingdoms. It is becoming real." Marcus could hear the panic in her voice. He could see it in the way her hands shook, in the way her breathing came too fast. "Please," she said, "I am begging you. I need your help. I cannot do this alone." "Eleanor," Marcus said, using her name for the first time, something no guard should ever do. "Tell me what you want me to do." "Help me leave," she said simply. "That is all I am asking. Help me escape. I have money. I have a plan. I know where I can go. I just need someone to help me get out of the palace without being caught." Marcus walked to the window. Outside, the palace gardens were dark and quiet. He thought about all the rules he had followed his entire life, all the orders he had obeyed without question, all the secrets he had kept. "If I help you," he said slowly, "I will lose everything. My position, my honor, my future." "I know," Eleanor said softly, "and I know I have no right to ask this, but you are the only person in this palace who truly sees me. You are the only one who has treated me like a human being instead of a game piece. If you turn me away now, I have no one left." Marcus turned to look at her. She was so young, only 19 years old. Her whole life was still before her, and they wanted to trap her in a cage made of gold and diamonds. He thought about his oath. He had sworn to protect the royal family. But what did that mean now? Did it mean protecting them from the truth? Or did it mean protecting them from becoming people who hurt innocent children? "Give me 3 days," Marcus said finally. 3 days to think about this, and to understand what it will mean. Eleanor nodded, relief and fear mixing in her eyes. "Thank you. Thank you for not saying no immediately." After she left, Marcus did not sleep. He sat in the darkness and thought. He thought about Prince Louis asking if his sister would be okay. He thought about the piano music at night. He thought about the fear in Eleanor's eyes when she spoke of Lord Pembroke. He thought about Queen Victoria's cold face, telling him that some truths should never be told. The next morning, something happened that changed everything. Marcus was on his regular patrol when he found Prince Louis crying in the corridor. The boy's face was bruised, a red mark on his cheek, a small cut on his lip. "Your Highness, what happened?" Marcus asked, kneeling beside the child. "Lord Pembroke was here," Louis said between sobs. "He was angry. He said I was loud and annoying. He hit me. He said if I do not stay quiet, he will hit me again." Marcus felt rage rise inside him like a flame. He had heard many stories about Lord Pembroke from the servants, stories that were whispered when they thought no one was listening, stories of his cruelty, his violence, his control over women in his own house. And they wanted to give Eleanor to this man. That was the moment Marcus understood his choice completely. It was not about loyalty to the royal family anymore. It was about what was right, what was human, what was just. He helped Prince Louis to his room and left the boy in the care of a kind servant. Then he walked directly to his superior officer, Colonel Davies. "Sir," Marcus said formally, "I need to speak with you about something very serious, something that concerns the safety of the royal children." Colonel Davies looked at him with surprise. In 15 years, Marcus had never reported anything. He had never spoken about what happened inside the palace walls. "What is it, Marcus?" Davies asked, closing his office door. Marcus took a deep breath. He was about to cross a line that could never be uncrossed. He was about to break years of silence. He was about to risk everything he had built. But he thought about Eleanor's face, about Prince Louis's bruises, about what loyalty truly meant. "Lord Pembroke assaulted Prince Louis today," Marcus said quietly, "and there is more, much more that needs to be told." Colonel Davies's face went white, and Marcus realized that he had finally done something that mattered more than silence. He had chosen truth. The palace changed after Marcus spoke his truth. Within hours of his conversation with Colonel Davies, the king was informed. Within a day, official investigators arrived at the palace. Within 2 days, Lord Pembroke was being questioned by the royal authorities. The silence that had protected secrets for so long was broken, and truth began to flow like water through cracks in a dam. But truth, Marcus learned, did not come easily or painlessly. The queen was furious. Marcus was called to her private chamber on the morning of the 3rd day. He knew what was coming. He had prepared himself for it. Still, when he entered the room and saw Queen Victoria's face, cold as winter, hard as stone, he felt fear move through him. "You have betrayed this family," she said, her voice quiet but deadly. "After 15 years of loyal service, you have destroyed everything we have built." "Your Majesty," Marcus said, remaining calm. I have protected your family. I have protected your children. You have humiliated us. The Queen snapped. You have allowed private family matters to become the business of the government. You have made us look weak. You have made our house look like a place of chaos and violence. A child was hurt, Marcus said firmly. A young woman was being forced into an unwanted marriage with a dangerous man. That is not a private family matter. That is a crime. Queen Victoria stood up from her chair, her black dress making a whisper sound. You are no longer needed in this palace, Colonel. You will leave within the hour. Your pension will be paid, but your service is finished. Marcus bowed, as was proper. Yes, your Majesty. As he turned to leave, the Queen spoke again, her voice softer now, but filled with something that sounded like pain. Did you truly believe that I did not know what kind of man Lord Pembroke was? She asked quietly. Marcus turned back to look at her. Your Majesty? Of course I knew, Victoria said, sitting down slowly. I have known for years. But a queen does not have the luxury of caring about such things. A queen must think about alliances, about power, about what is best for the kingdom, not what is best for one child. Marcus saw something in her eyes then, a deep sadness, a resignation, a woman trapped in a role that demanded she be something less than human. Perhaps, Marcus said carefully, the kingdom needs a queen who can be both powerful and human. Perhaps that is what makes a kingdom truly strong. The queen did not answer. She simply turned away and looked out her window at the gardens below. Marcus left the palace that day with a small bag and a broken heart. But the story was not over. 3 days after Marcus left, Eleanor came to find him. He was staying in a small room above a bookshop in the city, only 5 miles from the palace, but it felt like a different world. She arrived at sunset, dressed as a servant, her face hidden beneath a hood. When she removed the hood, Marcus barely recognized her. She was smiling, truly smiling, for the first time in years. They have canceled the wedding, she said simply. They have canceled it, and Lord Pembroke has been arrested. The king learned what he had done to other women, in his own house, in villages near his lands. There will be a trial. There will be justice. Marcus felt something release inside his chest, a knot that had been tied for weeks. And you, he asked, what will you do now? I am going to the academy, Eleanor said, but not because I am running away, because I want to. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to discover who I am when I am not afraid. She stepped closer to him, and it is because of you. You believed me when no one else would. You risked everything for me. I did what was right, Marcus said simply. Yes, Eleanor agreed. You did, and that is rare, Colonel. That is very rare in a palace where everyone is playing a role. After Eleanor left, Marcus sat alone in his small room. He had lost his position. He had lost his home in the palace. He had lost a pension that would have kept him comfortable in his old age. But he had gained something else, something that could not be taken away. He had gained his own truth. A week later, there was another visitor. Prince Louis came to see him, brought by a loyal servant. The boy's face had healed, but his eyes were older now, touched by understanding that no child should have to know. Thank you, Colonel Marcus, Louis said simply. You made my sister safe. You made me safe. You are brave, Your Highness, Marcus told the boy. You were brave to tell me the truth about what happened. Never lose that courage. On the first day of spring, Marcus received a letter. It had the royal seal on it, and he almost did not open it, but he did. The letter was from King Edward, Eleanor's father. He had rarely spoken to Marcus directly in all the years of service, but now he wrote, Colonel Marcus, I have learned what you did, what you sacrificed. I have also learned how much I failed my own daughter because I was not brave enough to see the truth that was in front of me. You have taught my family an important lesson, that true loyalty is not silence, but speaking when it matters most. That protection is not control, but freedom. That love is not about keeping people small and safe, but helping them grow into who they are meant to be. I cannot give you back your position, but I can give you something else. I am establishing a new office, a place where anyone in the kingdom who is being harmed can come and be heard and believed. I am asking you to lead this office. The work will be difficult, but it will be right. Will you accept? King Edward. Marcus sat with the letter in his hands for a long time. He thought about Eleanor's courage, about Prince Louis's innocent truth, about Queen Victoria's hidden sadness, about all the people in the kingdom who had secrets locked inside them, afraid to speak. He thought about what his sister had written. How can you serve a place that does not serve justice? Now he finally knew the answer. He picked up his pen and wrote his response. Yes, Your Majesty, I will accept. And so Colonel Marcus began a new life, a life not of silent watching, but of listening, a life not of keeping secrets, but of helping people find their voices. And in doing so, he changed not just a family, but a kingdom. 1 year had passed. The building where Marcus worked stood on the edge of the city, near the river. It was simple and welcoming, nothing like the cold stone palace. People came here because they needed to be heard, because they had nowhere else to go, because someone finally believed them. On this spring morning, Marcus stood in his office, looking at the long line of folders on his desk. Each one represented a person. Each one represented a story that had been hidden in darkness. Some stories were about broken families. Some were about violence. Some were about dreams that had been crushed under the weight of tradition and fear. Marcus had helped every one of them find their voice. His assistant, a young woman named Catherine, knocked on his door. "Sir, we have a visitor. She says it is important." Eleanor walked in, and Marcus barely recognized her. She wore traveling clothes, and her face was bright with joy and confidence. She had been away at the academy for almost a year, and the young woman who entered his office was not the frightened princess from the palace. She was someone new, someone free. "I wanted to see you before I left again," Eleanor said, sitting down across from him. "I am going to study in another country, a place I have always dreamed of. I will be gone for 2 years, and I wanted you to know that I would not be here if it were not for you." "You did that yourself," Marcus said gently. "You found your courage." "No," Eleanor shook her head firmly. "I found my courage because someone believed me first. You showed me that my voice mattered, that my life mattered. You gave me permission to matter." She stood up and took his hand. "The real reason I came today was to give you something." Eleanor pulled out a letter, sealed with the royal crest. "My father wanted me to give this to you personally. He could not send officially because there are still people in the palace who are angry with you." Marcus smiled sadly. He knew this was true. The queen still would not speak his name. Some of the older guards still believed he had betrayed his oath. He opened the letter and read, "Colonel Marcus, my daughter has shown me her new school. She is learning to be a scholar and a leader. Prince Louis has stopped having nightmares. My wife has begun to understand that protecting our children means sometimes letting them be who they truly are, not what we want them to be. The laws have changed. Because of your courage, there are now protections for people who are hurt by those with power. There are now places where they can go and be heard and believed. You have changed my family. You have changed my kingdom. You have changed what it means to be a father and a king. I was wrong to let fear guide my decisions. I was wrong to think that tradition mattered more than the safety of my own children. But because you are brave, I have learned to be brave as well. When my reign ends, history will not remember the scandal of what almost happened. History will remember that we changed, that we grew, that we chose to be better. Thank you for that gift. King Edward." Marcus folded the letter carefully and held it against his chest. After Eleanor left, Marcus went for a walk by the river. He thought about all the people he had helped in the past year. He thought about a mother who had escaped a violent marriage, a young man who had found courage to tell his truth, an old woman who had finally spoken about pain she had carried for 40 years. Each story mattered. Each person mattered. That evening, as the sun fell below the horizon, Marcus received another visitor. This time it was Prince Louis. The boy was older now, 8 years old, but his eyes were still bright with the light of childhood, though now they also held wisdom. "Colonel Marcus," Louis said happily, running into his arms. Marcus hugged the boy tightly. "Your Highness, what are you doing here? Does your mother know you are gone?" "My tutor brought me," Lewis explained, pointing to an older man waiting by the door. "I told father I want to see you. I wanted to show you something." Lewis pulled a small book from his pocket. It was handwritten, with pictures drawn by the boy himself. "I wrote a story," Lewis said proudly, "about a brave guard who helped his sister. I wrote it in my class, and my teacher said it was very good. She said it was the best story in the whole class." Marcus opened the book and read the simple but powerful words. Lewis had captured everything: the fear, the courage, the love, the change. The story was told from his perspective, showing how one act of bravery had changed everything for a whole family. "This is wonderful, Your Highness," Marcus said, tears filling his eyes. "You are a very good writer." "I learned from you," Lewis said seriously. "You taught me that speaking the truth is brave. You taught me that one person can change things. I want to do that when I grow up. I want to help people like you do." After Lewis left, Marcus sat alone in his office as night fell. He looked around at all the folders, all the stories, all the lives that had been changed because one person decided that truth mattered more than silence. He thought about the guard he had been, a man who watched and said nothing. That guard had lived his whole life believing that loyalty meant looking away from what was wrong. But he understood now that true loyalty was different. True loyalty meant seeing what was wrong and having the courage to speak. True loyalty meant protecting people, not protecting secrets. The next morning, Marcus opened his office early. The line of people waiting to be heard had already begun to form. There was a young woman with a nervous face, an old man carrying sadness in his shoulders, a family holding each other as if they might fall apart if they let go. Marcus opened his door to the first person and said, "Please, come in. Tell me your story. I am listening." And as each person spoke their truth, Marcus listened completely. He believed them. He helped them find their power. And slowly, quietly, he helped change the kingdom, not through grand actions or royal decrees, but through one story at a time. In the palace, things had also changed. Eleanor was building a new life based on her own choices. Prince Louis was growing into a boy who understood that truth matters. Queen Victoria had begun to speak with her daughter about her own hidden dreams and fears. King Edward had become a different kind of leader, one who listened instead of only commanded. And Colonel Marcus, the man who had once stood silently in palace corridors, watching and saying nothing, had become the voice for people who had been silenced for too long. He had learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is believe someone when they speak their truth. Sometimes the most courageous act is to refuse to stay silent anymore. And sometimes one person's decision to be brave can change everything. The river flowed past the city, carrying the stories downstream. And in homes and farms and villages throughout the kingdom, people began to understand that their voices mattered, that their stories mattered, that they were not alone. Because one person had decided that truth was worth the price. And because one young woman had found the courage to speak. And because one small boy had learned that bravery comes in many forms. The kingdom had changed, and it would never be the same again.